But now I'm joined in studio by Helena Byrne because I think the want to communicate and tell a story is sort of the genesis of all great writing. Whether you're writing a sales pitch or whether you're writing a novel or an autobiography, storytelling is at the heart of all writing. And Kilkenny County Council Library Service has just announced that Helena Byrne is its new storyteller in residence, and she joins us now to tell us her story. Good morning, Helena.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me.
It's great to have you in. So we'll talk a little bit more about the role and your involvement and that type of thing as well. But as I said, it's your own story.
Oh, well, how long have we got?
We've about 8 minutes. So.
Well, I'm from Ballyhale originally, living in Dublin now, but I've been working as a storyteller, or Shanachie, as we would call it, of course, for about... starting to lose count, about 13 years or thereabouts, telling stories to adults and children, a bit of both. And I just came across this opportunity with Kilkenny Libraries to become their storyteller in residence, and I jumped at the opportunity because I find that libraries are something that they're such a fantastic resource for adults and children, for both, and so many people don't realise the resource that's actually there for them. I myself, I have a 1-year-old at home, and the
joy,
I'm busy.
the joy. For a moment there, I went on my own story, my own journey back in time, about 8 years now since we had a 1-year-old in the house, and immediately I was transported to feelings of pain and stress and everything else. So I can feel all that in you.
Well, that pain and stress can be lessened by bringing them to the library and introducing them to the wonder that is. I know that sounds a little silly, but the wonder that is books.
Yeah, there's a huge connection, I think, between the written and the physical. And what I mean by that is, you know, children, adults, we pick up a book and it's basically ink on a page. But those words in our mind transport us to places or thoughts or feelings. And also when we think about the performance, you know, acting, for example, that's turning print on a page into something physical. So Absolutely. Is your background more performance-based or more literary?
It wouldn't so much be literary. It would be oral storytelling. So I myself, I dabble in writing, but most of my work would be storytelling in a performance sort of way. So what I'll be doing quite a great deal of during my residency is actually having events at the library and telling stories to children, and also getting the children involved in the storytelling, because, you know, adults will sit and they'll listen to a story. Kids want to be part of the story.
That's the difference. I think when you see a pantomime, for example, versus something maybe in the Abbey, you know, when people go to the Abbey, they sit there, they want to be either entertained or enthralled or educated. Whereas when you go to a pantomime,
there's a fourth wall.
There is, yeah.
Whereas with storytelling, that doesn't really exist.
Yeah.
You know, you can actually, the audience can embrace it and actually become part of the story. And that's really what I love about children's storytelling, is that you can get them involved, get them up on their feet, acting out the stories, performing sound effects in the stories, and then creating their own stories as well. What I particularly love doing is getting kids to just create their own characters in their own minds, whether it's a zombie or an alien or whatever the case. You know, sometimes it's SpongeBob, but
I'd have to suggest, you'd have to be very able and capable to go with the flow. I think your profession would probably call it improvise. You know, because
definitely. Absolutely.
This story didn't have a zombie in it when it started, but it's now got a whole classroom of them.
Exactly. What part of that exercise I do when kids are creating their own characters, I get them to move around the room as their character as well. And when you've got 30 kids, some of whom are crawling on the floor, some are pretending they can fly, some of them, you know, it's mayhem, and it's brilliant.
See, I think we get this wrong as parents, because I think we're so interested in, you know, teaching our children to read from an educational perspective, as in they have to be able to look at words on a page and read them out so that they don't get embarrassed or make a fool of themselves when they're asked to stand up in class and read that little paragraph. But I think reading is so much more than that. It's about escapism, it's about expression, it's about all of those things. But actually the reading is just the basic skill that you need to be able to do all of those things.
Well, the reading will come if you introduce a child to storytelling and to books. The reading will come along with that, you know. So it's sort of, if you actually introduce them to the magic that a book can offer, that's, you know, the reading is going to come along with that as well. So it's sort of, you know, don't bring the, what's the saying, don't bring the cart before the horse.
The other way around. Yeah, don't get the cart before the horse. When you were young and you read yourself, what type of places did you go to in your own mind?
Oh God, I mean, I myself, I loved Enid Blyton and Roald Dahl.
Did you read The Famous Five?
Of course I did. Oh my God, yeah. And
again, it's that thing, because I've got my youngest daughter now is very much on the verge of taking on those type of things, and I think she's fascinated by the fact that her dad read those books as well.
And they're timeless. They're timeless, which is really that's
Dick and Anne, George and Timmy the dog.
Oh wow, okay, yeah. So you were a super fan.
I was.
Brilliant, yeah. I mean, it's incredible what books can really offer to children. I mean, I remember sort of secretly reading past my bedtime, and I'd have a little light or something like that, trying to read under the covers. And I'm sure my parents pretended to be, angry, but they weren't at the end of the day, because there's much worse things you could be doing as a child.
Well, most of the time the lights are coming from the bedroom now. It's people scrolling through, whatever devices they have. And so you're kicking off. You've got a whole, I suppose, schedule of events planned.
And more to come.
Workshop starting on Saturday, September the 9th in Ferrybank Library.
September 9th in Ferrybank, and the following Saturday then I'll be in Castlecomer and Graignamanagh. And this event, I've called it Mini Members, because what I really want to do is not just encourage children to come to the library. I want to encourage the parents to come to the library as well. I know for a fact that there are so many parents out there who haven't brought their toddlers or their babies to the library. Maybe they haven't even been to the library themselves. But this is a great opportunity for them to come, introduce their children to the world of books. At this age, like my 1-year-old, for example, she's obviously not reading, but it's just the fact that, she's able to pick up the book, look at the pictures and all that sort of thing, and the imagination just runs riot.
Well, Lynn, you can't bring toddlers to a library, because there'll be somebody be sitting behind reception looking over her glasses at you going, shh.
Here's the thing. This is the perception that, I mean, you probably grew up with The Simpsons as well. And our generation, our idea of the library is Lisa Simpson going into the library and there's one other person kind of you cough in the background, and this crusty old woman behind the counter who's the librarian. I've met the librarians in Kilkenny. Trust me, they're a lot more lively and jovial than those characters. That's not what the library is. There's so much more going on, and it's not that sort of stiff upper lip kind of place that we might perceive it to be. So you can bring your toddler, let the toddler crawl around on the carpets and the soft cushions and all the rest of it, and introduce them to the lovely, gorgeous books that are there, and then discover all of the events that are happening free of charge at your disposal. So I certainly hope that a few people will hear this join me on the 9th and the 16th if they have little wee ones at home.
And you said there on the Saturdays, but I mean, the library would also be a place maybe for people, as you said, new mothers.
Exactly.
Looking for somewhere to get out of the house during the day.
Exactly.
They want somewhere that's maybe got a little bit of peace and quiet, some sort of little interaction for the little ones. Consider the local library.
Exactly, absolutely. And it's always there, and you're more than welcome. And yes, babies will cry and they'll have tantrums and all the rest of it, and that's all fine. That's okay. That's the library is a public space for all of us to enjoy.
Yeah, so you got these couple of events coming up. Obviously, you're going to have a lot more planned. How long is the residency actually for?
It's until December.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've only got 4 months. I've got to pack a lot in there. So I'll be doing a lot of other projects as well, which I'll happily come back and tell you about. We'll have exhibitions. We'll be delving into local folklore as well. I'm going to be getting children to gather folk tales from the local library, and also from their parents, their grandparents. Hopefully, we'll get a good few ghost stories and stories about the banshee.
Oh, sure. Halloween is right in the middle of your residency, so it'll all be that type of stuff kicking in as well.
If I don't creep out the community a little bit, then I haven't done my job.
Well, listen, we'd be delighted to speak to you at some point again in the future. Maybe coming up towards Halloween will be a nice time to talk about all them spooky, scary things that you'll have planned. But in general, at the moment, if people wanted to keep abreast of what's going on and find out about those events as they come online, presumably they'll find out online.
They will indeed, yeah. You can go to any of the social media pages for the library or for myself, Helena Byrne, and you can also go to the Kilkenny Libraries website or go to my website. I mean, the information is definitely easily accessed.
Well, there you go.
So there's no excuse.
Helena Byrne, a new resident storyteller with Kilkenny County Council Library Service. Thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thanks a million.
And it sounds like the library is certainly a much more fun place to be than I ever remembered it being. That is for sure. It's just gone 10:30 this morning.